Welcome back to the Research Your Rights video series. In this video, we'll define some key legal terms used in the eviction process. By the end of this video, you'll be more prepared for the eviction process and will better understand these four terms: tenant, lease agreement, eviction, and eviction notice. Let's get into it. The first term to know is tenant. A tenant is someone who lives in a property or on land owned by a landlord. If you rent property, like an apartment, you're a tenant. Usually people become tenants by signing a contract with the landlord or providing services to the landlord in exchange for living in the property. The next term to know is lease agreement. A lease agreement is a type of contract signed by the landlord and the tenant. To move into a property, a tenant and a landlord have to sign the lease agreement. The document has terms that a tenant agrees to, like the beginning and end date of the lease and when rent is due. It also lists duties a tenant owes their landlord and duties a landlord owes their tenant. Some of the tenant's duties might include paying rent on time and keeping the property clean, while one of the landlord's duties might be allowing the tenant to live in the property. You can see why this is an important document. It contains a lot of important information. It's always important to read this document carefully. Understanding the terms and the duties you are agreeing to can help prevent a tenant from, say, staying past the end date of the lease agreement and being evicted. Our third term is eviction. Eviction is the process used by a landlord to remove a tenant from a rental property. Evictions don't just happen on their own. They are ordered by the court. This means a landlord can't evict a tenant without an order from a judge. If a landlord doesn't have the court's permission, but forces a tenant out by turning off utilities or changing locks, that landlord is not following the rules of eviction. Now, there are several reasons eviction might happen, but a tenant who is being evicted will receive an eviction notice that explains the reason the landlord has begun the eviction process. Some of the most common reasons are that the lease ended, the tenant has not paid rent, or the tenant has violated conditions in the lease agreement. The last term we'll cover today is eviction notice. An eviction notice, or a notice to vacate, is what a landlord gives to a tenant when they want to evict that tenant. This starts the eviction process. Under the law, an eviction notice must be a physical piece of paper, and it must be given to the tenant either in person or sent to the tenant through certified or registered mail. A spoken eviction notice is not valid. An email eviction notice is not valid, and a text message eviction notice is not valid. Now, don't panic if you do receive a valid eviction notice. While this piece of paper does start the eviction process, it doesn't mean you've been evicted already. Only the court can order a tenant to leave their rental. That said, the eviction process does move quickly, so it is really important to read the eviction notice carefully. Note what the eviction notice is asking you to do, and also when you need to do those things by. It's always a good idea to take notes and mark important dates in your calendar. Great job today. You now know more about four important eviction terms: tenant, lease agreement, eviction, and eviction notice. For more information about the eviction process, visit any of our videos or continue with the eviction process part 1.